Hello, I am Stephen Redding, and I would like to speak for a moment about a difficult subject, but one that's very necessary that we address at this time in the world of Earth. And that is that fearfully, I believe we've entered a time of subtraction. And that would imply that the downside or the decline side of life may be overpowering the development and the vigor of life. In other words, that the river of life itself may be at a very low flow, and we need to be concerned. To make these judgments and understanding, it is important that we look at where the world looks back at us. And for me, I am taking my cues from the forest. The forests are not well. The trees are dying in great numbers. And in particular, I stand here with what was just a few years ago some beautiful red oaks of one species or another. And quite recently, a reaper of unknown causes and huge consequences have become loosened in this forest and in our neighborhoods. We refer to this disease as bacterial leaf scorch, which is not so different than the MRSA bacterium that is affecting human beings. Just 10 years ago, MRSA was an inconvenience, and almost any biotic would effectively work with it. Now it is killing people by the thousands. You may not have heard of it, but believe me, it is out there. It matters not where we look, but once we look into the life of the more differentiated and highly developed life forms, we see huge issues with the vitality of the life that keeps them. We must remember that life lives in a very thin place, and we cannot change that woven fabric of this world without these huge consequences. What makes this bacterial leaf scorch so frightening is that the bacterium or the pathogen always coexisted with the oaks right here in America, right here in central Pennsylvania. You know, the loss of the chestnut and the American elm is two great devastating losses, where humankind moved the pathogen or the bacterium or the infection from one country or continent to another. But this was not the case with bacterial leaf scorch. It always coexisted. And before this, 10 years previous, it only took 1 out of 10,000 trees. And now it stands to kill all of the trees of the red oak family, which is a huge loss and a huge tree canary to which I speak of. But friends, look at the children born with autism. Look at the children's food allergies, and so many of the adults with the autoimmune diseases. We do see this time of subtraction everywhere if we're willing to look. Look into the oceans at the loss of the coral, a highly evolved life form. And yet the toxic algae are overwhelming the life in the oceans and creating these huge dead zones. Look at the disappearance of the honeybee, and yet the more marginal yellow jacket, the carnivorous stinging agent that it is. And look at the ticks. And look at the lice, the populations of the beetles. They are thriving. Weeds are growing like crazy. Poison ivy choking out the forest. But the trees, the more prized, evolved beings, are falling before us, and we must be concerned. The implication, I think, is that we must revalue the life of the world we live in. Come down off of that high place above the rest. Give up this sense of dominion and manifest destiny, and realize that we will only be as well as the world around us. As I have mentioned, these are very exciting times. A brand new great dispensation awaits us, our entry. But we will only go so far as we go with this world, because we are inextricably connected to it. We are part of that fabric of this creation. We need to give a new measure to the life forms upon it and value them as though they are kin to us, for they certainly are. And if we will do that and embrace life in all of its meaning, I believe there is yet time to avoid this tipping point and give again the vigor to life and to the world around us that will keep us through this fairly dark time until that dawn of a day with a beginning and not an end will come and spread its light and warmth amongst us. Thank you. StephenRedding.com